Bashing people in games is usually pretty fun, especially when you're having a pretty low cooldown. So in today's video we are going to learn how to do a bash mechanic with a cooldown, just like in Overwatch. If you've seen the hero called Brigitte, she has this one ability which she can use to bash other people while she's having her shield out. So for me the shield is this blue cube right in front of me, right? And when I'm going to press the other button, as you can see, I'm going to dash to the cube and I'm going to just bash it backwards. So let's see how I did this. First, what I have is a box stand. Actually, I have a box collision in front of my character. Make sure that it is right here, so right at the edge of the capsule component. Then I'm having a cube, which the visibility is set to false. So this is the cube. And you're going to see a little bit later why I'm using this to be false. And the box stand for the box collision is 0. That is because I don't want to use this when I'm going to start. I want to use it only when I'm going to press a button. And then here I'm having an arrow attached only to the capsule component. As well, I think you could use the arrow component that is inverted. And the reason why I'm having this right here is because I want to make sure that I'm only getting the forward vector from left and right, not up and down like this. Alright, now let's go into the event graph and let's see what I'm having here. So first, I have an action mapping, bind it to my left mouse button. So if you want to get one of those, go to Edit, Project Settings, let it a bit to load, then go to Input, and here, Action Mappings, click on this plus button, give it a name and then give it a button, and that should be it. Back into our character, once I'm going to press my button, what I want to do is to set the box visibility to be true. So new visibility checked. Then I'm going to set here a boolean, so just create one, call it whatever you want. For me that is can shield bash. By default it is false, and I'm going to set this to be true. Then what I'm having here is that I got my box, and then I set the box stand to be the exact values that I want. So these values are basically going to be as big as the box, actually a little bit bigger than the cube in front of me. And also make sure that you're having here update overlaps. Then on release, what we want to do is to do the exact opposite thing. So we are going to set the visibility of the box to be false. Then we are going to set the can shield bash to be false, and then we are going to set the box stand to be 0, 0 and 0, and as well update overlaps. So here, one other thing that you could have done is that get only your cube and not the box. So make sure that your cube is actually attached to the box. So you could have just got your cube and plug this into the target, but I want you to get the box. And also, if you're going to get the box, make sure that you have propagate to children. So this is going to also be set at your cube. Alright, so this is basically just showing and having the shield in front of you. Now let's see the actual mechanic. So here again I have an input action mapping called use, bind it to my E button, and here I'm going to check some things. First I'm going to check if I can shield bash. That means that if I have my shield active or not. Then I'm going to check if I used the shield bash in that moment or not. And if this is false, we are going to do here a sequence. So first I'm going to set the boolean right here from use the shield bash to be true. That means that I used it and I don't want to be able to use it anymore for 2 seconds, which we are going to set later here. Right, and then from the then 0, I'm going to set the ground friction to be 0 because I don't want to be slowed down by the surface that I'm colliding with. As well, the shield bash should be true. Just create a boolean and set this to be true. For now, we are going to use it a little bit later. Then I'm going to set again the box stand just to make sure that it's not going to have any errors. If you're not getting any, you can just delete this port. Then I'm going to launch my character, which is basically what happens right here. As you can see, I'm just going to go forward and let's see how I did it. So first I got my arrow that we created when we went into the viewport right here in front of us. Then I got the forward vector, and then I split the struct pane by right clicking onto the return value. As well, I got a vector multiplied by a float, and I splitted the struct pane from this vector as well. And the only thing that I plugged in were the x and the y. The reason why I did this is because I don't want to be able to go upwards. If I'm going to plug this into the z as well, I might be able to go upwards. So maybe now I'm not going to, because I haven't set it up properly for the z as well. But for me, I just want to be able to move on the y and on the x. Then I multiplied here with a pretty big float. So for me that is 6666. And then I just plug that into the launch velocity. After 0.1 seconds, I'm going to stop the movement immediately from the character movement. I'm going to reset the ground friction to be 8, because by default the character movement is going to have the ground friction to be 8. Then after 0.05 seconds, I'm going to set the shield bashed to be false once again. I'm going to set the box extend back to 0, and here I'm having pretty much the cooldown for the ability, so I just use the delay. Here a variable called cooldown as well, you could just make here in the duration. And then I set the use shield bash to be false once again, because we set it here to be true, but at some point we'll want to be able to use this once again. Alright, so now what you should be able to do is you should be able to launch your character in front of you and just be able to be pretty mobile in the world. So now let's see how we can add impulse, actually not impulse, but how we can make these cubes go in front of the vector that is going to in front of our vector as we are hitting them right here. So first things that we want to do is to first create the objects, and then make sure that you're simulating physics and as well that you're generating overlaps, because it's going to be an important part for your box collision right here, else it is not going to work. So on component begin overlap, what I want to do is to check if I used shield bash or not. So why I'm checking this is because I want to make sure as well that I'm not getting any errors. Let's say that our box didn't reset for some reason and it's still active. I want to check if we shield bashed or not, and so this variable is like another security that we won't get any bug. Right, then what I'm going to check is that the other component, which is basically the cube, is simulating physics or not, and if that is true, I'm just going to add impulse. The target is going to be the other component, and the impulse will be the camera forwards vector, or actually we can use the arrow as well, get a forward vector, multiply that with the float. For me that is 1666 as well with velocity change ticked, and let's see if this is working with the arrow as well. So it seems that it is. So this is pretty much all for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with new videos pretty much every 2 to 3 days. Thanks for watching, see you next time.